As Incendia's flame dwindled last week, it is time for the lads to kindle it back into a blaze and give us the comeback we know that they are capable of, especially with a new flammable addition to the team. My name is Gio. I will be covering this matchup for you alongside Spectrion. This is a chance for Incendia to have a little bit of a comeback.
Yes, but it's also one of the trickiest opponents that they've got so far, right? Incendia versus Deimpero, both teams that were built to qualify into OWCS. Deimpero notably being within touching distance twice, a reverse sweep, two pairs in a close loss division, ultimately denying them that opportunity. So an incredibly strong opponent for Incendia, right? 3-2 team, but been on a bit of a downward spiral with losses against SR Peak Check and I believe Dreamlight in the past two games. They are looking to change things up just a little bit because after this game, well, we'll wait and see what the schedule is in just a second, but plenty more tough opponents upcoming. As we can see here, that close loss to Dreamlight, not what you'd love to see. Deimpero, you're looking to turn things around. 0907, a team who probably on paper you should be beating, but still absolutely can deal damage. TA Sports as well. I mean, this Takuno-driven roster looks like one of the teams who probably look to qualify to OWCS as well. So that's a win, a scalp you absolutely need to be taking if you're Incendiary Sports.
Exactly, right. With the ability to go to OWCS through this Masters division, there's a new element. You can feel it kind of tangible in the air that it's more than just winning this division. It's about maybe cementing a legacy as a wildcard team to strike up into OWCS and cause some upset. And if you're wondering, why are we casting this? How are we casting this? Well, it is because of our wonderful partners, XYBA and CGL, both helping Incendia bring this stream to your wonderful eyes. Now, we've hinted at it, and now it's time to dive into it a little, because it's time to break some news, folks. That's right, it's not on Twitter yet, it's not revealed yet. Captain Prash has joined the team. It is on Twitter, I guess I'm just not on Twitter. The Pride of India has joined the team. Incendia with a new addition. Is this what they needed? Is this the new ingredient that they need to take on tough teams like Deimpero?
I mean, from what I've heard, which is, to be fair, from biased sources, then it is a definite upgrade. Apparently, Sobek was in a particularly difficult position, wasn't really being allowed to find his value, just wasn't what the team was looking for, unfortunately. So Prash is coming in to kind of replace that. Prash brings an incredible amount of flexibility. He's one of the few main supports, I'd say, who has his Mercy, Brig, and Lucio all at pretty much the same level, right? He's incredibly flexible in that regard, but I think the real value that Captain Prash brings to any team, but especially to a team like Incendia, is his communications. He's willing to do basically everything for a team. So ult tracks, fight plans, shot calls, mid-fight targets. Like, he will do absolutely everything in terms of those comms. And so for a team like Incendia, who have absolutely the mechanics, nobody can argue otherwise, then he might allow them to reach the next level. But considering they've only played one scrim as of yesterday night, at least, they maybe had a warm-up scrim before this match. They are very, very low in practice, and into a team like Deimpero, who's been playing together for a little while now, we'll have to wait and see whether that relative greenness is going to be in it.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be on your toes, a whole new element, and someone who is very communicative. Me and Prash, we've kind of floated around in the same kind of tournaments, me casting, him playing, and every time I get a chance to talk to him, you just get an understanding that, like, the guy's mental is another level as well. How he talks about the game, how he talks about communication in the game, it just makes you feel motivated to play more. But yes, a great new addition. And to remind you all of the roster that we have, of course, from last week when we covered the game against Streamline Hybrid, the newly made tank, still fresh off the switch from DPS onto tank. We've got Cookie and Cloud, two strong DPS, and Kronos, who has that new support partner in Captain Prash. This is the team minus Prash that we saw up against Streamlight, and they did struggle a little bit, especially with trying to actually get something done with those Wrecking Ball compositions. A lot of times they were CC'd out. So I'm curious to see what this team's going to bring with this week of reflection and a new member.
Generally, I think we're looking for Incendia to find success in some of the divier tanks that fit hybrids place out a little bit better. His Winston seems to be pretty functional, his Bull as well. That kind of hyper aggro style seems to work out a little bit better for him. Cookie 84 is also the win condition. I've got to say that Sojourn is insane, but going to be matched against Kyo, another absolutely fantastic hit scan. Here we see it. The other French super team, I suppose, Pack, Crocs, Kiwi, and Gogo. I think the player to watch here, though I did shout out Kiwi before, is probably Pack. His Genji especially is absolutely world-class.
Yes, and it's a strong team. All French minus Kiwi. I don't know how Kiwi snuck their way in there, but I hope their French is good. Strong team. This is going to be a tough one. We already know our first map, though, is going to be Samoa. And that opens up to a lot of opportunities. I have seen the meta has shifted a little bit as more OWCS is played, and kind of like the perks are still stuff that people are solving, but we're getting to the point where the meta's getting solved. We're getting to a position where we understand what is strong over the other compositions. So it's just about how these teams play into their heroes and into what they know, of course, with the hero bans as well.
Yeah, wait and see what the bans will be in just a second. I believe we're still getting them through. Remember, in Masters Division here, we don't use the Expert system. We use the OWCS system. So any hero can only be banned once by any team, and there cannot be more than one ban per cycle of any particular role. So getting that first ban through is really impactful because it allows you to protect ban a necessary hero. For these two teams, I would probably imagine that Malga is going to be a big point of consternation because, to my knowledge, it's not one of Hybrid's best. Crocs, though, looks alive on that. And considering how much we've seen Malga in recent times, especially in Korea, EMEA as well, watching the playoffs this weekend, then I imagine that'd be one way that Deimpero attempt to force a wedge between them and Incendia.
Well, that wedge better be fireproof, because you know that there's a new energy, whether they've practiced it or not, a new player, a new week as well. Because before the Dreamlight game, they were top of the standings. They were in a fairly good position. But it doesn't mean that you can't climb back up. It just means that there's kind of a new goal, and that's to stay in the top 8, to start getting some wins under the belt and stop themselves from actually not making it to the playoffs, where there's a chance to go to the top 2 and earn a spot to fight to get into OWCS, which of course the players, as much as the prize pool's great, obviously there's the ego, right? There's the want to be the best, there's the want to get into the top tier of play and prove themselves. So of course that will be on their minds here, and we're just waiting for the game to get started, just waiting for the players to get ready. Faceit usually is a bit faster, so once they are ready, we'll be zooming through the maps.
Absolutely hope so, of course. Normally once everything gets ready to go, then the fact that we don't have to kind of finagle with the lobby anymore makes the pace go a little bit faster. So these Faceit matches can be pretty, non-stop realistically. I know that I've had some trouble even keeping up with the action, but we'll be here the entire time. Should it go 3 all the way to a 5-map record? Some background about Incendia. I believe they picked up Captain Prash after finding incredibly good results playing with him as a fill-in a Genji warm-up scrim, which they found incredibly good results. As far as I'm aware, I believe either a tie or a win in that one. The warm-up scrim they played, I believe, was against Sakura, in which they 6-0'd. Not the warm-up scrim, sorry, the only scrim they played after that fact, in which they 6-0'd.
Mm-hmm.
So, at least up to the point where my knowledge ends, they've been incredibly successful in terms of these results. But actually translating all these scrims to officials is going to be incredibly different. I heard that... I heard a lot of things, all of them positive, realistically. We do have these bans through, and it seems like I was actually wrong about them, so we'll take a gander now. Deimpero, I believe, got first ban, and indeed we'll see that now. Malga going to be coming up here. I thought it would be a way that they tried to shove a wedge between these teams, and that's absolutely the truth, but by avoiding it rather than inting towards it. And Genji for Incendia seems to be a pretty targeted ban towards Pax Hero Pool.
Yeah, you were saying earlier how good Pack is on Genji. Very much a target, and Genji can get a lot done on a lot of these Samoa sub maps. It is a good choice. Mauga banned from their home map. All the Mauga fans, sorry, all one Mauga fan, very upset about that, but. Yeah, I like this start out here. It shows Incendia are coming out here. They're swinging, right? They're not playing coy. They're just going straight for the throat here with the bans. Getting like a good hero out just forces them to play a little bit more. I don't know what Pack's hero pool is, but of course Incendia are going to be thinking...
He's got a very standard flex hero pool where his best heroes are absolutely his Genji, then his Tracer, then into the more like archaic, funky picks, right? And it's not like he's bad at any one hero, but generally he does want to be on those two. And we're in a meta where you don't really have to leave them as a flex, right? Genji is particularly strong in these brawl comps. You can kind of force Tracer in them anyway. Tracer is normally better in these dive comps, but you're still going to be able to get the job done with them. That's exactly what we are expecting to see from Pack. On the other side of things, Cloud, I think, has a little bit more to offer, some more flexibility. His Tracer's a smidge better, his Echo's a smidge better. But like I think I mentioned this before, right? When we're talking about DPS on Incendia, we have to mention Cookie84, who has been, even when they're losing, the shining light. Absolutely, just a ridiculous player. Some insane mechanics, and even if he does need a little bit of micro, from what I'm hearing, then it doesn't really matter if he just hits noggins like he does.
Exactly, and that's what it's about at the end of the day. I was just having a wee look at the rosters here just to like catch myself up on some things. I don't know if we're being trolled, but Crocs is apparently the king of Hog.
Crocs does play a decent amount of Hog, to be fair. And
we could
Crocs
see that
Crocs is also a huge troll. People who watched the Game vs Vision esports were probably pretty entertained by what he was typing in chat. He does like to chat a little bit, even when he's losing. Just a player who's absolutely going to be entertaining, no matter which side of the coin he's on.
I'm sure him and Prash are going to have some back and forths then, maybe in the match, because Prash does like to push the buttons a little bit as well, so there might be some back and forth.
It's like Prash is like a very serious person, so he's more of like a shouter, right? Especially at LAN, he's gonna let him know, you know. But Crocs is like a talker. He's there to like make jokes. He's here to entertain himself, you know. It's a slightly different perspective, but it's still going to be entertaining nonetheless.
Yeah, I'm looking for that one. I imagine the match chat will be shown, so we'll get to see that as well. Kiwi, I'm not sure if they're lamenting Swaggiest or if they're calling themselves the Swaggiest. Someone's also put their nationality down as American, which I don't think that is true. I believe they're British. So, yeah, some trolling happening in the sheets that we've been given about the team. So, I'm excited to see the energy that the team's going to be bringing. If you're wondering why we're held up, our OBS was in Maximilian's vault. No, I'm joking. There was a bit of a hotfix, so we just got that through. We could do a live Maximilian's vault. I actually forgot that was a feature in the game, actually. So, we could see what's happening there.
Okay, so it seems like due to the hotfix, then all games have been delayed by a quarter hour. So in theory, this is now a 7:15 start time. So we're going to go to a short break. When we're back, then we'll finally be able to get into Incendia versus Deimpero.
See you around. And we are back and rolling, and we've been considering the biggest question of this matchup. How cold are Sigma's feet when floating about without socks? Now, I've been thinking about this a little bit. Incendia, they could heat it up, your feet are right there and ready to be heat up by the fire, so you could do that nice and easily. So I actually think I wouldn't mind having my feet out like that.
I don't really have anything to say about that. Listen, I've really got nothing, I'm afraid. Let's talk about something that's more
I stumped
serious.
you finally.
Baffling statement. I mean, crazy. Listen, listen. With the meta kind of evolving, one thing I've been really enjoying seeing actually is that more Sojans are taking the 150 energy perk. We kind of saw when perks first came out, we were like, oh, that perk's not actually that good. Most Sojans are just taking the extra bullets because of the consistent uptime. Well, you pay attention to, for example, the Korea finals a couple of days ago, and Lip's taking the 150 energy 98% of the time. Obviously, you're still going to go towards the extra bullets. If you have less than a minute and a half, there's not really a chance you charge up to that ultimate.
Yeah.
But if you know the ult's going to come online, then especially if you're going to be just a mechanical freak, like, for example, a Cookie 84 is... Exactly. Oh, suddenly that feels pretty nice, right? The ability to one-tap 4 of the 5 players on the team, and especially when we're in an Ana meta, you combine the 150 energy with the Nano boost, and you do have essentially just a lobby admin button right there. I don't know. I think it's a really cool perk. I think the fact that we're seeing perks be used with so much variety, right, kind of is a testament to how good the design is. I know that when I first heard about it, I was kind of a hater, but now, having played with it, genuinely, it feels like 70-80% of the choices you have are really quite varied and really quite structured.
Yeah, it makes sense when you learn, like I did today, that Costa is actually part of the dev team and wasn't part of helping make the perks. So it kind of makes sense when you've got people who have actually played professionally that can lean in with their thing. But yeah, that 150 energy in the hands of players like Cookie, it may as well be, I have the Thanos gauntlet with all 5 stones, and it's just time to have some fun, essentially. And that's what we've seen. That's why Sojourn is seeing so much play, and at least in CGL, I know, is one of the most popular first bans, because people would rather get that out of the way if they know they don't have the stronger Sojourn player. So it definitely puts a little pressure on the Sojourn players to actually perform on the day, which is another element of that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think just as I mentioned, waiting to go in, it shouldn't take just too long, but unfortunately, stuff like to go a little bit wrong. I will say, I think the current meta as well is so wide open, right? You kind of take a look at what people have been playing in most organized play, and while it's been more, especially towards the Malga, look at Korea, we're seeing Sig, we're seeing Ram, we're seeing Monkey, Diva, the most banned tank actually across all regions by some margin. Like, it is an incredibly wide open patch right now. I feel like the DPS line is where you have the least choice, but even then, outside of your Sojourn, then you can still go towards Venture, Echo, Farah, May. I've seen Heesang piloting that earlier. Like, it's just incredibly up in the air. Teams have so much ability for self-expression in this patch, and I think that is going to be a really great way of differentiating teams. I think going at least into the next couple months or so, still some time before the mid-season patch. And as well, I think when the meta is this open, it allows you to play so much towards your own strengths, and teams can be judged not necessarily just by how good they are at playing the meta, but how good they are at their chosen meta.
Exactly. Being able to choose their path and lean into what's their strength, that's what perks are really helping with as well. And you talk about the mid-season and going forward into further seasons, when these perks start getting swapped out and the weaker perks start getting stronger, and the situations where there's an obvious choice of a perk versus one that's maybe kind of like a little bit more of a fringe case, like the hammer armor thing, that's fun. I love it. I had 2.7k healing on Torb just hitting my Orisa one game, but realistically, the auto reload on my E, like, hello, that's obviously like that's the one you go for. So once the devs start doing what they say they're planning on, which is making each perk as much of a choice as possible, I think Ana right now is a great example of where the perks are perfect. You've got double nade or sleep slow. You've got, okay, am I more in danger where I need to protect myself with the sleep slow, like a dive, or are they going to be more clumped together, like a brawl? And then, am I trusting myself to hit my shots? I know I don't, therefore I choose the nano one, so I can survive a bit more. I just love what the devs have done with the perks, and as we look forward, it is going to be the teams that are seeing the opportunity to be like, oh, that's for us. Like, that's not like the meta, that's our meta, and we're going to use that to our strengths.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say with Anna in particular, her perks are maybe the most egregiously overpowered.
Yeah, they're strong.
Double nade is quite good, especially into like brawl comps. If they can't eat the nade, then you can just like essentially one-shot somebody by just like purpling them and then shooting them once, and then they're just on a sliver of HP. Sleep, the extra like 2 seconds is strong against any dive comp, but especially into ball comp, it makes it so hard for you to fireball after you wake up. It's just such a strong CC tool. And when you look at the major perks as well, when headshot is the weaker perk, when you're doing like 105 damage a shot, oh my lord, the double nano is crazy, right? It's basically impossible to trade backlines with that ultimate because your Anna becomes a 500 HP, 105, 200, 150 like a DPS demon. You're just not going to die. It's as simple as that. It's absolutely bloody ridiculous. There's nothing else about it. So, yeah. Anna, definitely one of the huge winners when it came to perks. But the fact that we have so many big winners is also really great. And in terms of some perks that maybe are fun, but maybe not so strong, for example, like Kiri double TP, absolutely, it's incredibly useful, right? It makes your TP basically be a 4-second cooldown. But when you actually play with it, it ends up being not nearly as strong as something like the double nano, for example. So I think, yeah, some of these perks are really, really entertaining to play with as well.
Yeah, and if you think about it as well, there's the small risk chance that you lose nano in transit. If you have self nano, then it means at least someone got nanoed, right? So it kind of alleviates that. And yeah, if you think about like the weaker perks, right, I will start a hashtag chain here because I want to play Ryan and feel good about playing Ryan again for the first time in I don't know how long. And the fact that most of his perks are shield related.
Oh no, the Ryan perks. Okay, Ryan is like probably the biggest loser when it comes to perks. Like him, Roadhog, Weaver, maybe they all kind of just been like killed by their perks, right? So it's kind of unfortunate.
Although with the Weaver one, it does mean I can shout to my teammates to take my seed if I've died in the fight. So it has created some fun scenarios, but I don't know how useful.
But by the way, if you're wondering why we're waffling for so long, unfortunately the game is currently on hold. It seems like the restart was a no-brainer, so we're waiting for everything to be sorted out. Unfortunately, nothing we can do from the end of Zyber Productions. All we can do is cross our fingers and hope that the match is sorted out in due course. XYVA Productions, unfortunately, he doesn't seem to like my nickname for it.
You got told off immediately.
I've been joking about it so much behind the scenes, my mind has been warped.
You've actually just created your own, like, head
my own company, yeah.
Your own company. But I think what we'll do is we'll go for another short break. Give us some time to wait to see what the admins are going to do about sorting this one out. But we'll be back in an undisclosed, hopefully small amount of time. We'll be right back. third time might be the charm. Touch wood. We are potentially, probably, likely going into this matchup finally. Incendia versus Deimpero. To remind everybody very quickly, Deimpero are 4-1. Incendia are 3-2. Incendia are bit far down in the standings. They need to start getting wins under their belt to get back up in the standings and secure a place in the playoffs.
Absolutely. This looks to be their opportunity with fresh blood and Captain Prash, one of the most storied main supports in Europe. They hope to unseat the French side, and with bans of Malga and Genji starting here on Volcano, I gotta say, both teams will feel the lack of the Malga the most. Deimpero crocs on his Queen, one of his better heroes, most definitely. This comp, I don't imagine they're playing with it entirely, but it will work out pretty well. I'm assuming we see Pack move over to, the Mace. They play for Brawl win cons, but they will fall over if they play into like a Reinhardt. Incendia playing, I guess, a hybrid between Dive and Poke here. Hybrid can play soft cycles, go off of Cronus nades, but realistically, they're just waiting for one of Cookie or Cloud to hit a direct.
And we have seen Cloud be able to hit those directs as well and just start the fights out really well for Incendia. Oh, Captain Prash, though, that's not a good introduction to the team. Gets sent out. Now, that backline defense isn't there for the squishies. They are going to get forced off of point, but they have to watch that the follow-up isn't there. I mean, Hybrid's taking a little bit of a battering on the side there, but again, they're just waiting for Prash to come back up. In the meantime, though, Cookies went down.
Yeah, I think it's going to be pretty hard for Captain Prash to live here consistently on the Brigitte. A little bit of a stagger onto Cronus just to increase the lead somewhat. And if I'm Incendia, I'm probably already thinking about a swap. I would say on other points, this comp is absolutely playable. On Volcano, where it's so easy to just walk towards the backline, I mean, the Brig is good at living, right, but it's not so great if you get knifed into the entirety of the Deimpero. So pay a lot of attention to Captain Prash, because his ability to toe the line here is going to be imperative.
Yeah, it's pretty much playing Dead by Daylight, just trying to stay away from that killer. And the killer being 5 people looking for their head. Walt comes up to try and create some staging ground. Yeah, Queen flank to rotate round. Chuno goes down. Cookie with the big shot. That's what we want to be seeing from this DPS. And the fact that Lucio goes down means that speed's not there for Deimpero. They're a bit more slow moving. They're just trying to create as many different angles as they can right now, just to try and stay alive. But finally, Incendia coming in with the Nano. Oh, Cloud going down. It's not a great start, but that Nano Monkey is going to supply enough pressure to continue to push through. Meanwhile, Blizzard is up. Cronus going to go down to it. This is not clean from Incendia.
No, it is absolutely not, and because of that, they will end up being rebuffed. Hybrid's got the Primal Rage active, and is able to juggle Crocs all the way back to spawn, but with the healing from the Bleeds and the Kiri both, then won't be able to secure that final blow.
Yeah, well, Juno going down again. It's another start. It's very reminiscent, but we got to see that follow-up actually come to fruition. Start to actually grow that fruit tree and start picking the fruits of it. Cookie, of course, is going to have that overclock, but Kyo as well. Nice. Yeah, Kronk just walked on Cloud, and Cloud just fell apart. Evaporated, you could say. Big sleep, but that's not going to be enough unless Cookie comes up big here, but they don't touch the point, so they isn't really a choice.
Yeah, we see definitely some of that Crocs talking we were mentioning earlier already, and just get that C9 in to get a bit of a mental lead here. Honestly, that was closer than the scoreline suggested. Absolutely, Incendia were able to consistently find eliminations, but they were simply trading back and forth. And in these kind of chaotic engagements, that's exactly where we expect this Queen Kiri comp to find more success, and exactly what we ended up seeing. Generally, I'd say a quieter map from Pack so far. His mate is one of his better heroes, but I just think there's much opportunity to really find a kill. Deimpero able to force the brawl, Incendia not able to escape it. And it seems like they're going to be keeping these same compositions. Prash goes for the Lucio pick here permanently. Like I mentioned, this will be a lot easier to live into the Junker Queen.
Yeah, a little bit more open map here that plays into them. And they've got a little bit of perk progress on these characters as well. So maybe that was the idea behind it. So Chuno is Gogo, by the way. Spin to Win is Pack. They are streamer names, just so that you are aware. They're not ringers, they're not substitutions, they are the core players. Captain Cookie. Cookie just goes down to an icicle. Yeah, Pack just lands an icicle and that's it. That's the fight over.
Fair enough. Fantastic shooting coming through from Pack and Keo, both DPS combining for a 3-piece in between them. Crocs mops up the final two.
Oof,
And Incendia, just no chance to even get started here. Crocs is just emoting on point, showing exactly how worried they are. And to be fair, they haven't really been shown any real problems. Okay, mirror on to the comp more or less. The only difference is going to be the Tracer versus the Mei. The Tracer gives you a lot better backline pressure. The Mei walls, though, are brutal to Hybrid.
The other issue is that you do mirror it, but you're a little bit behind on perks, so there's going to be a moment where you need to kind of catch back up and work at a disadvantage to the extra abilities and extra stats that Deimpero are going to have right now. Crocs getting walked on, not a very long-range TP, puts them in more danger. Crocs just continues to push. Hybrid going down just means, yeah, there's really no forward momentum here. They just get walked on and fall down.
Fantastic push from Hybrid there, or from Crocs there, sorry. Making sure that Hybrid was fully isolated from the rest of his backline. No help could possibly come through onto the home team Junker Queen and able to eliminate off the back of that, snowball the rest of it. 55% here, more than halfway ticks Deimpero now coming up to ults Incendia. The same could not be said, and so they're probably going to look for an early Kitsu fight and then an early Blizzard just to keep this snowball rolling.
Exactly, and what better way to keep a snowball rolling than freezing your opponents. It's going to be the Kitsune Rush comes up immediately. Hybrid just gets walled off and just executed. Incendia's Flames not looking too bright right now. Deimpero just pushing them backwards, and they've used both the ultimates, but of course Overclock coming up. Yeah, that stagger is a bit rough.
Yeah, listen. 15% left to go. Considering how fast this comp is with the Tracer, you'll lose. So, a touch. I was going to say it's possible, but they're going for the spawn hold.
Okay, just pack them back in. Don't let them out at all. Cookie and Cloud, though, trying to make them rue the day. We do need to see a little bit of point touching. Okay, thank the Lord we do. Cloud not letting a repeat happen. You see Pack there just trying to stall out the point just to see if there's an opportunity for their team to get some more eliminations, but there's not, and Crocs is just stuck in this backline right now. They're getting hunted out. Surely they get this, but with the speed of both the Shout and the Lucio, they could actually slip away from their fingers. They're still in it, but Crocs goes down. That's a great stall, actually. That's a great kind of stagger pick.
I mean, Deimpero have to back off there. And again, is it not Cookie84 who's the hero for this side? A beautiful overclock to finally get their bangs into this map. Deimpero relatively skint right now. They've only got the beat and are probably looking for an economy fight here for Incendia. As long as they don't overspend, they should be getting up to 50-ish percentage points basically for free.
Yeah, he talked about getting their fangs into it. The vampirism is slowly taking place. They're sinking their teeth into them and they're growing in power.
Oh no!
Cronus goes down! That was Kitsune Rush off the board! Now you have to work from behind. It's going to be the ultimate coming up from Hybrid. Does take two down. Well, does hit two, but the sound barrier is there from Gogo. And Pack goes down from Cookie. That's a great elimination. Hybrid, though, without your tank, you're going to be in a much tougher spot. The point has flipped as well. And now you're just hoping that maybe Cronus can come back. Kitsune Rush hopefully going to be enough, but with the Suzu already used, is basically just fighting from under, and that weight is crushing.
Yeah, listen, that was a huge mistake from Cronus there. Maybe historically being a main support player isn't fully used to what rotates you can make as a Kiriko, but just unfortunately, facing into that Mei spells the end of Incendia in this map. Number one Samoa going in favor of Deimpero in relatively strong manner. The flashes of brilliance we saw, I mean, first that shot was brilliant from Kyo. This is just ridiculous. The flashes of brilliance we did see were from Kyo's opposite number, from Cookie84, so if Cookie can kind of level up, can keep this performance consistent, then we're in for still what could be a very close game. If it ends up being a little bit more quiet from the Sojin, though, then we may continue to see Incendia's woes continue.
You know, we've talked about how much they have to get used to really quick. You know, a new member, new setup on the team, and also it is worth noting the kind of staggered start to this. You know, we don't talk about it a lot in esports, but like the adrenaline, the mindset of being able to compete. When you're ready, you're ready. And when that gets delayed, that does so much harm, especially if you were in the zone and need to get back into it. So it could just be map 1 woes. Perhaps we see them kind of warm back up, get into the flow of things, and start heading back, essentially.
Yeah, I would love to see what they're able to do. We're going to go through into the next map relatively quickly here. I think in terms of what I would look towards, then yeah, it's about it. Take a gander now, but Incendia on their own map choice have gone towards Blizzard World. If they really want to play this Monkey and a Brick style, then this is exactly the map for it. You've got the longer sight lines for your Sojourn to find value. You've got the kind of high grounds that only the Winston can really use, these longer rotates that Queen is going to get punished on more often than not. I think this is absolutely the correct choice, but I think with the ban, they probably need to go for like a support ban, like a Kiriko, because remember, it's going to be very obvious to Deimpero exactly what Incendia want to go towards here, and so they would probably just want to target an Ana or a Brig to shut it down. You change the tank, and you can make do with a Diva, you can make do with a Bull, a Doom, a Hazard, whatever. But if you don't have an Ana Brig, you are already much, much behind.
Exactly, and the Anna Brig cards, they were played already. They know that that's a backline they're going to go towards if that's the kind of composition they want to play. So that they haven't exactly hidden the fact that that's what they want to go for. So it is a little bit clearer. It's a bit more obvious for Deimpero to go for if that is what they want to target. I mean, you take out the Brig and Anna becomes more vulnerable. You're probably looking at more of a Lucio. Take out the Anna, now you're probably thinking more Kiriko. There's some choice there, but really Kiriko's the only one that can really step in to that kind of composition.
Yeah, I mean, if like I said, if I were Incendia, I would ban Lucio. I would probably ban Lucio because I think that shuts down the largest amount of what Deimpero would want to play. I would force them onto something like a Juno Break backline, which they're not as comfortable on generally. Um, as well as being a map where well, Prash can absolutely play Lucio. It's not something you want to play on a different point. And it also leaves you like the Kiriko for any like flat ground maps as well, like a Suravasa, which you can use to attack the same style of compositions. But if you end up trying to play like a Queen, for example, with no Lucio, it just doesn't really work. Try and play a Malga, it kind of works, but it's finicky at best, right? So that would be my personal ban here. And then for Deimpero, I would probably target just Winston, just get out of the way. Hybrid's probably best at his Winston, force him onto a Diva, a Bull, something that he's not as masterful on, and that is probably how I expect to see it break down. Waiting on these bans to come through, but it may be another slightly extended break in between maps, as it does seem like there's some shenanigans going on as of now. I'm not sure this is what's supposed to be happening, as unfortunately the lobby has been maybe the more finicky thing here today.
Some chaos in the air for sure. Obviously, like getting rid of Kerry would mean you don't need to force a mirror into Kerry. We did see Kronos struggle a little there, getting picked at a very inopportune time. But they're Scottish, so they're probably really smart and handsome and awesome. So I'm sure they'll figure it out. And oh yeah, here are the bans from the teams.
Yeah, I got him half right there. Winston ban coming through for Deimpero seems like the slam dunk. Incendia recognizing that they have to go for a backline ban, and between the Kyria and the Lucio decide to ban the Kiriko. Absolutely fair enough. I think this is a very good decision from them. And I mean, my personal preference aside, I think this will be their best road towards victory. That being said, we have to wait for the lobby to get sorted out once again, and so it will be down to some more yap from us. I gotta say, the Queen strat from Deimpero was really nice, actually. It looks super, super practice on it, and the Queen in this meta isn't fantastic, but that's not to say she isn't strong enough. So if you can just kind of play it effectively, then it's going to be super, super effective as well. When you're looking at what maps he played it on, right? Volcano versus Monkey and a Brig, right? And to a lesser extent on that, was it Downtown as well? That's super fine. That's super fine for you. You'll end up being on kind of like full frontline trade where you're going to work out. It's easy to find your wall win cons, the hybrid. And no one is really hitting nades against you, so you're pretty comfortable. I think if we went to a beach, it would look maybe a little bit different. As beach is a little bit stronger for these Anna Briggs, you have more nade lineups, more longer sight lines to poke out the walk. But I think on that map type at least, it was a great piece of problem solving from them.
I mean, yeah, Queen is such a big winner with the perks. One of them giving 100% lifesteal on the Carnage, the Axe, is huge. Hit one person, it's like you hit two people like you hit four. That evolved, that is massive, and it's made Queen so viable that even my dusty old tank like gameplay is actually working. I'm actually doing quite well on Drunken Queen. So these players actually know what they're doing and can press buttons like a professional and not look like someone who's lost in a Walmart. It just shows how much NA things I've been doing there. I said Walmart instead of Tesco. I'm sorry. I need to be excommunicated from the EU for that one, I'm afraid. It's all over for me. Career ended. But
I'm the only
like...
Newcaster now.
Yeah, that's
Spectreon.
it. Although I'm sure you're okay with that. You'll probably be okay being the only one left.
You know, it's like last man standing type beat. You get me? Listen, Incendia versus Deimpero. Currently 0-1. Incendia look to equalize here on their own map choice of Blizzard World. Deimpero try to increase their lead.
Yes, Blizzard World, Murloc Island. Incendia find themselves on an island right now, because if they lose this one, they're free, and that top 8 is starting to slip away, and it's a tough point to get a new player to have a mix-up in the team, but these players combined, I'm sure that they're able to like stay the course. And you know, not to talk about like this map, the series is over already, because there's plenty of series to go. It's first to 3, and there's plenty of time for Incendia to find their footing here and start to head back.
And all that talking in the pre-round about how I really expect them to go towards like Monkey and a Brig or a different dive tank at least. At least while they're in spawn, they're showing something entirely different. This is a very doable comp. Cronus' BAP is probably his best flex support, at least from what I've seen from him, right? Cookie's on a comfort pick, Cloud on the Maze on a comfort pick. Obviously, Pressure on the Lucio is going to be chilling. And it allows you to just take a much more of a frontline trade against the Deimpero. On the Torb, on the Haz, then they do actually win out that brawl. So Deimpero will be looking for poking for as long as possible. But they see what the opponents are running, and we're walking back to spawn here. Cloud mirrors out the Torb, figuring you can't really find those wall-win cons against the Haz. And other than that, they're going to be rolling out on that same comp.
Yeah, you wall their tank and they climb over it. Kind of upsetting for a mid player, so great choice here. Of course, Torp can also survive those slashes from the Hazard, and Crocs already feeling the pain. Hybrid goes down to Disruptor. Orb, were we not looking at Hybrid? What was happening there?
I have no idea there, honestly. We definitely didn't spend Lamp, so there's a certain amount of unawareness from the side of Cronus, but also Hybrid has to be able to control how much damage he's taken, depending on how much his supports are looking at him, and if they're not, then you can't really be wide-facing there, so not the start we're really looking for. Kyo is a slow orb able to find the opening pick. And already 50% towards this Molten Core. Deimpero off on a very strong start. Cronus on the Ana instead. Does give you the nade win cons, but I'm not sure this hero really does enough. I guess it is mainly to counter out the Hazard.
Yeah, get sleeps on it. Also, the slow on the sleep is going to make them groggier getting back up, and the already Crocs just forcing off the high ground, not letting Cloud stay up there for the spam. It's Cookie, of course, that finds Kyo with that railgun to the noggin. Finding the Torp turret as well gives them a little less pressure. They can walk forwards here, of course. The pressure being supplied at the backline with a rotate there.
Good.
Kiwi goes down. Cookie being the mainstay, that sturdy pillar of the team right now.
I mean, don't know how many times we've got to say his name, but apparently it's still Incendia able to close this game out. A recontest does come through, but it's bold.
It is bold, and the Molten Core on the ground there, just trying to force them off point. Not quite there. Crocs goes down, and yeah, that retouch is going to go down the drain there. That's a strike back that we need to see. They hit back hard, and they needed to after that. Embarrassing first fight.
And they get to some staggering kills as well. They'd love to chase him more, which is exactly what Cookie's looking for, but being low on rail charge doesn't have the most kill pressure in the world. Establishing control of this high ground will be relatively easy for Incendia. They will be able to force this base a lot more effectively than Deimpero will be able to guard it. And as we see, Crocs just goes in, but his HP just evaporates. He's forced it back.
Yeah, and that's what you want to see if you're Incendia. You want to see that HP go down. Downpour, get the umbrellas up. And that umbrella will be from Captain Crash with the soundbar, keeping the team alive. It's Kyo, though, that's finding damage. Meanwhile, Crocs is super low, could go down, but the damage has really been done here.
I mean, yeah, but again, you look at the economy, and it's not the end of the world, right, for Incendia. We'll walk up to this next.
Woo!
Okay, nice reset coming through from Pack there. But you head into the next fight with Annihilation and your Molten Core versus just the OC. I know Q is mechanically strong, right? But it feels like Incendia have a huge advantage here in terms of these check marks. A super aggressive hold, arguably over-aggressive here from Kyo and the rest of Deimpero, but they're just going to force Incendia to work for every inch of space.
Yeah, clearly they don't want it to be easy for them. They're fighting from a bit of a strange position here. They were all already in cover.
Whoa.
Oh, this overclock, very aggressive, but they've got the extra energy to take Cookie out.
Okay.
Gets traded. Cookie's spawn is right there though, so it's not really the end of the world. You see Hyper just going in there with the Annihilation to get that extra health and just pressure them backwards. And yeah, despite using the overclock early there, they are losing this fight out. They have to back up. Here's the blade though. Pack, we've picked up how good their Genji is, but this is a lot of pressure to be facing with that blade. And the blade will snap, the metal shards go flying, and it is Incendia continuing to push.
Huge nano there from Cronus, allowing the fists of Hybrid just to obliterate the Genji. The Deimpero will be forced back temporarily. We are seeing Incendia kind of struggling to contest this high ground. They don't want to take the full brawl up the staircase, but forcing Cart, you simply can't interact with it.
You can't, no, and you see already the damage being done. They have to back up. They have to be very well aware of how much burst can happen. Talking about burst, die, indeed. Gogo goes gone. Cloud takes them out, pushes them back. They need to orbital ray in the meantime. Very strong ultimate. Great sleep as well there is going to force Crocs to not be able to follow up. And yeah, they invested orbital ray into that fight and got nothing with it.
I mean, Deimpero there, they delve a little bit too deep into the midst of Incendia, and even with the Orbital Ray, aren't able to convert off the back of it. Great work for Incendia, kiting back a little bit, just dumping your defensive cooldowns and converting. Cookie looks for one, but rips the OC for more.
Yeah, that's a lot of danger there. Doesn't actually have the extra energy this time. Oh, it's gonna be Pack that takes them out. A bit of a disastrous pull of the trigger there from Cookie. Usually the one to lead the fight, but that one, they were the first out.
Yeah, OC just came through, I think, while Deimpero were pretty set up and pretty easy just to pounce on him, and with no help on high ground, even though you've got the double slide. If you end up sliding into a Sojourn's line of sight, I mean, a player like Q can hit a fallen player every damn day of the week. That makes it a little bit awkward then this next fight as well. You can trade ults with Deimpero, but they ultimately have a bit of a lead. I do think that Incendia are somewhat on the back foot here.
And also the fact that it's overclocked that they have a huge wall, actually. Hyper just gets completely cut off from the rest of their team. Surgically removed, you could say, and Gale pulls the overclock. Probably didn't even need it, but does secure that fight.
It's a bit of a gift here for the side of Incendia. We're coming up to last fight territory with about 20 seconds left on the bank, right? And that's an OC you no longer have to worry about. You can probably go first with like a nano onto Hybrid and then Annihilate second. But we're hiding in the corner with a downpour. Captain Practice beat has to be pristine.
It does. It needs to be nice and clean. Downpour from right behind. It's a storm. And Cookie goes down before the beat lands. Oh no, it's a disaster there. Pack slashing, cleaving them up. Cloud, the last one on point, trying to find something of their own. Hybrid is just going to basically hit against the wall. The brick, too painful. And that is their push. Finish there. They don't complete point 2, but at least go through point 1.
Yeah, decent progress, absolutely. But, I mean, that final fight, it's just a bit of too hard an advantage to break through, right? Positional, ults arguably in their favor as well. There's not much you can do. Crash actually lands the beat to his credit. But, I mean, it's one player who gets taken down before the beat even lands. Crash just bursts through it. So Crocs even tried to use the Jagged Wall to stop more players receiving that sound barrier, but it wasn't to be. In the end, though, they found enough success, and a super aggro defense from Deimpero will be able to stop Incendia dead in their tracks. I do think, as I mentioned, their kind of somewhat inability to control the high ground from Incendia is an issue that they couldn't really overcome. Alright, they forced Cart and they got crossfired, or they kind of walked high ground and got mashed up by the Jagged Wall, by the ultimates that Deimpero had arrayed, and now they're setting up on their own defense on essentially the exact same composition, right? They've got to hope and pray that it works out a little bit better for them. I will say, I think this comp works a bit better in the defense, right? The 12 and the Soj control angles nice and effectively. Hybrid can kite back with the Lucio speed and just use the block to stall for time. But still, an uphill battle for them nonetheless.
Yeah, you're probably looking to try and hold on first. That's your best chance, and gives you that kind of security as well. I'm also curious about the choices that Cookie made of perks to not go for the extra energy. Did kind of mean that the overclock from Kyo was just 50% stronger than the overclock from Cookie. Obviously wanted that uptime there, Kyo. Not going to find anything, and they're going for a full swap here.
I mean, they look what their opponents are playing. They've got the advantage of the spawn, so they might as well. With the Queen into the Ram, then they realize that unless Prash can match the Rampage ult charge, then they will just win Rampage fight. So loads of pressure onto Prash now. He can basically only beat for Rampage, in my opinion.
Well, Prash, smart player, probably knows that, is aware of this change. The pressure onto Cloud.
I was just dead.
Yeah, you just saw Pac was just allowed to get a beat there and apply that pressure, and despite the over health that you get as Torbjorn just gets burned down, they're just kind of roaming around point here, a Roomba of death, and they're getting sucked up into it, and you just see them falling apart. In fact, it's Hybrid, one of the last to go. Prash, I think, has gone out of it. Is there even a retouch?
No, I don't think there is, or at least there shouldn't be, right? You walk into some really awkward angles, and while you can technically make it, I think it's better just to set up for a absolutely grueling second point defense. Remember, only 107 meters for Deimpero to complete the map, and over 5 minutes for them to do it in. They don't need to make much of a pace at all. An absolute crawl is all they're going to need to complete things. And a start for Hybrid not going to be found as the pin onto the Sojourn is cancelled.
Cancelled. Hybrid slamming into the back here on a little bit of a flank angle. That was going to force a little bit of decision making there, but they don't follow up onto the Sojourn. A lot of dangerous ultimates coming up, but Cloud has gone. May as well be called Balloon because they got popped.
Yeah, unfortunately, just missing that pin there, I think, made it too hard to actually find elimination. Hybrid was basically on his own, right? You don't have a Genji to help you follow up on some of these low HP members. Oh, an escape by the absolute nick of it from Cronus. The silver lining for Incendia is that they will have these support ults at least, but anything else for them is going to be tricky. What are you doing here?
Hello? Engaging in a little bit of a 1v1 in spawn here, but the spawn is right there. This isn't a scrim, this is an official. Get back in the fight, buddy. Oh, Sleep is just a hair too short. Can't stop the blade. So much damage. The follow-up there. Crocs goes down because it's Mauga. Mauga will do that. In fact, actually, Pac, 2 HP, just survives because the fire is dampened, and Overclock right into their spawn.
It's an really can touch.
Yeah, it has to be that, and Prash actually finds Kyo. There was a momentary possibility. There could have been something, but yeah, Deimpero very strong looking right now.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, just able to capitalize on what mistakes their opponents are making so effectively. Crocs' flexibility, I think, has been one of the big difference makers here, because it feels like we've always seen Incendia counter-comps, right? We've already seen them fighting from a bit of a disadvantaged position. And I think that is due to Crocs' ability to play basically everything, or at least everything that's going to make problems for the side of Incendia. And unfortunately, it's just been quiet from the rest of that team, right? We have moments from Cookie84 when he lands a one-tap, but other than that, we don't really have much to say about them, right? It feels like they're just waiting for their opponents to come to them, and considering how they've been receiving these dives, it feels like maybe that isn't the game plan here.
Yeah, it does. Comparatively, and I'm not saying this is how Incendia are playing, it kind of feels like they're in the motions, really. They're not kind of trying things or not like making actions, but I'm not saying that's inherently what Incendia are doing. It's just that Deimpero are so planned. Like with that downpour, the fact that they were so targeted with who they were going for when the downpour hit, that Sound Barrier couldn't reach them, just goes to show that Deimpero are very well aware of what they want to be doing in each fight, and it's really working out well for them.
Map has come through pretty quick already. As you can see, East Esperanza going to be coming up next. I assume it's going to be another attempt to go towards the Winston. This time a Winston ban not going to be a possibility for Deimpero. So I don't believe we'll be seeing any hybrid Ram here unless I'm much mistaken. Again, Incendia do have first ban, and their options... Okay, probably Lucio here. I know I said it before, but it's worth shouting out again. If it's not that, then Crocs on the Queen is going to be their next port of call.
Yeah, because they have used the carry ban, and you were previously saying on a flatter map. I would have seen a carry ban happening on Esperanza, but obviously that's not a choice for Incendia right now. Take away the Lucio, you maybe force him onto what, Juno carry? What would be the response if Lucio gets banned?
I banned Lucio Tracer, maybe?
Yeah.
Considering we haven't really seen Pac want to move towards, we've been playing the main more often than not. That would be my
Hmm.
first thoughts. But it is definitely a question for Deimpero to try and answer because it gets to the point where, while there aren't maybe bad bans, there's not just like a slam dunk we insta win ban like the kind of monkey ban was, right? So
Hmm.
the bans are through, and it was Lucio and Tracer. God, my brain feels
Wow!
big.
Oh wow! That we're not going to recover from the amount of ego we're going to feel coming from Spectrum. You actually predicted it perfectly. Okay, fair play. That's 1-0 between you and life.
That's all I need. Guys, if we just stop the count now, I think it's gonna probably be okay. But no, it's exactly as I said, the Lucio ban is to protect the supports. Now Monkey doesn't need protecting, and as well to make it hard to play any like faster ground tank comps that we're seeing Incendio struggle with. And the Tracer ban is basically because Pac don't want to, which is fair enough. Honestly, we're going to see exactly how it plays out here. I'm assuming we're going to see Genji on both sides of the equation. Cloud could
Mhm.
also go back onto that Pharah he started on Volcano with as well.
Yeah, Cloud has aimed to try and get a lot of Pharah play. We saw Cloud do very well on Servasa last week. Obviously, different map now, different circumstances, and they are currently hovering the Mauga composition there and the Pharah, but when they do come out on, they have to be very well aware that they're up against a Genji.
Yeah, Sig comp from Crocs is going to be interesting. They have correctly counter-comped Incendia already, right? So, Incendia, while they're playing a comp that's in theory more meta, then Sig into Malga is a pretty strong matchup. Remember, he can't get any lifesteal from the grasp nor the shield, so Sig ends up making Malga fall a lot faster than he otherwise would.
Yeah, and you say that they've
Yeah.
already counter-comped them. This is another situation with Deimpero just being maybe just a little bit ahead of the game, and you can see that here again. I mean, they were very close to getting into OWCS, so like this is the team that we're seeing, the kind of strength from them. They're kind of just leaning around here on the bot side, kind of force it to double think. He'll get slammed on, the follow-up not there, able to slide out. And yeah, as soon as Cardiac Overdrive comes up, they can kind of push in. You see them being a little bit more choosing their time when to use it, but so late into the fight that they've already lost a lot of their health, and that's what that Sigma does to Amauga, forcing them into awkward positions, and there's a Genji cleaning it up.
Yeah, I think Hybrid just goes in a little bit too aggro there. Normally when you're playing into a Sig comp, your go button is during or after they use that Kinetic Grasp, right? Because if they pop the Kinetic Grasp, then you end up getting no life, so you end up falling over. Hybrid makes a swap over to the Winston. Can we expect a backline change as well? No, considering how much ultras they have, they want to stick. I think this is probably Incendia's best chance yet, but even so, I imagine that Cronus will be moving back over to the Ana once his Orbital Ray has been loosed.
Exactly, and if Kyo has their Perkia, which they'll be coming up to, then it's going to be a lot more dangerous once this overclock starts unrolling and unraveling. There it is on the high ground, immediately taken out, Cloud perfectly saving their team to the point where they might not even need to spend those support ultimates that they were intentionally holding on to. This is a very good position that Cloud's got their team into.
Yeah, it's a fantastic spot. I mean, Deimpero are relatively rich as well, but you should be able to match ults with them and at least go blow for blow, right? No huge lead for either side, considering how Cloud and Hybrid is still pretty far away from their check marks, and the fact that Crocs is on a fresh drop, Kyo just AJ'd his OC essentially, is not the end of the world. A great split already coming through. Incendia look finally ready to win.
You see Kuki going up to the ultimate themselves, going up to the perk as well, to that first minor, where to get that extra energy. And you see, I'm just going to play Koi right now. They've got the Orbital Ray they can use at any point. The Kitsune Rush will be the opener though, followed there by the Overclock, but the Orbital Ray is there to try and keep the team alive as well through this Kitsune Rush, and That's so much extra damage that they will eventually go down. Hybrid, though, is a monkey in the face of a shotgun during the fight. That's brave! Crocs, hello? There's a time and there's a place. They just threw that fight. Unless, hello, maybe I called it too early. Blade comes out, takes 2 out, and now it's a Brigida versus a Genji. I've had this nightmare before. I was the Genji. I'm not very good at Genji. It is going to force Captain Prash to
got the
back
rally
up
if he needs. But he just wants to reset here. He wants to live if he can, but he wants to hold on to the ultimate because he knows that in this next fight is going to be a huge lead for Incendia here, and he's able to survive on a sliver of HP. Incendia now, the basically all the options in the world, right? They've got 3 check marks. Deimpero have nothing at all. As long as they don't give Q enough time to finish this bot, they're probably just winning.
Yeah, Blade comes out, waits for the movement abilities to come out. There's no follow-up. That was odd to me, very strange. They didn't want to go in with it. Now they've kind of like thrown that down the drain, but of course Kyo is coming up there, overclock there. Cookie finding Pack, that's a good pick there, but you do have to be well aware of what's coming around the corner. Primal Rage is going to start to force out some movement there. Trying to follow up here, trying to get a kill onto the Brigida, but it's taking a lot of effort there. In fact, they're completely out of the fight. Meanwhile, Crocs has used their ultimate, lots of anti onto the rest of the team. The follow-up, though, not there because, well, Crocs' team wasn't quite there. They've just made it messy. That's what they've done. They've tried to just extend this fight.
It's an absolute bar fight right now, but both teams are still going. Prash trying to get involved, but the healing might not be enough to keep him alive. Kyo, though, does his best to remove him.
Kyo finds one into Kronos, gets taken out by Hybrid again, back and forth, but Crocs going down. Finally, might that be the sign that we've left the bar into the boxing ring where it can look a little bit more clean? But no, Pac says, I want to keep this fight going.
Nice, please.
I want this to keep going. I want this to be dirty. I want you to fight for it. They're begging them to use more ultimates. They're begging Cookie to use overclock, and they actually force them back.
At the end of the day, though, Incendia still have the lead. They've got ult advantage, relatively speaking. They don't really need to get more distance. They'd like it, of course, but now they're set up in a full 5-on-5. They can probably go for just an orbital Ray fight and hope they win off the back of it. They do need to go sooner rather than later, though. Pack and Gogo both close to check marks.
It is a here of a lead, so they are playing with fire, but what team is better suited to that than Incendia? Here comes the speed ring, pushing through. Cookie looking for just one elimination to try and make it. So much damage coming out from the overclock, but the rally in response as well. The blade, though, from Pack, not finding much either. These teams are throwing haymakers, but they're both blocking them. They are countering them. Hybrid going down. That's rough. But you will have the blade from Cloud if you want to try and keep this fight alive. The lead that they were so desperately holding on to has faded away. So now they need to desperately make a decision because that forward spawn's going to be touched. They're forced onto the point. Now they have to back up. The decision is to touch. They want to fight. There's the blade.
Wow.
2 perfectly done. And they stopped Deimpero from getting that forward spawn. That was needed.
It gets there in the end. You trade the blade for the rampage, and it is technically worth it, but you're probably going to have to fight once again to actually try and get that lead back. The Imperial just respawning now, but with the shell and the speed ring both, they have so much pace. The force out is necessary onto Pack. Finally, something going in Incendia's favor as they try and figure out how to get themselves back into each for answer.
Right into the back of it. The backline forcing to split. There goes the brick. 2 on this brick right now, which begs the question, what's happening with the rest of the fight right now? This is great, but to be fair, Cookie holding the line, taking out Pack, and with Gogo going gone, back to spawn. Incendia, they've done it. They've won this fight, and they'll get their forward spawn from this as well.
They will. Finally, it feels like a consistent lead established between both of these sides. I want to say that was a fantastic job from Captain Prash there, by the way. The surviving as essentially the pseudo-tank, whilst Hybrid went walkabouts in the backline there. He was the one holding Crocs back, and he was the one who eventually allowed them to get that cap. Now they look to extend their lead. Now they look to try and get a snowball going of their own. They'll have a ray for it, but Deimpero the same could not be said.
There is the entryway. The key to victory
no.
for Deimpero is the overclock. Finds Kronos, and Kronos was 93% orbital, so if they wanted to stay in this fight, that was pretty much the route to do so. But forward spawns in the favour of Incendia. They'll get back into it quickly. And they've only invested Deimpero, have only invested the overclock here.
Incendia didn't spend anything, at least, but you look at how both sides' ult situations are looking, and it is somewhat of a stark scenario for Incendia. At 2 minutes left to go, it's not the end of the world. You can build up a bank, at least, before overtime gets started. You will be able to defend your lead as well from pretty strong positioning. But I gotta say, yeah, Monkey was not going to work on this kind of position. The Malga is going to work out a hell of a lot better.
Yeah, they went back to Malga. In terms of perk-wise, they have already got some progress towards the Malga perk, so of course that hard perk, the double hard perk, is going to help out. Overclock here from Pookie. Usually the one to open the fights with an elimination, but that's a huge queen ult right into Captain Prash's face. That's too much damage to sustain. A low pack goes down. They've turned it around. Using the orbital ray, of course, it has been mirrored, but they hold on to Blade as well, so that's a good shout. And they have remained in the lead by, again, just a hair.
Both teams chuck the kitchen sink at each other, but watch this Ajax that comes through from Pack, just flat and knocked on his behind. The damage boosted Sojourn Railgun is enough. Incendia cling on to life. They cling on to Esperanza, and now they're less than a minute from going 2-1 in this series. They're so close. They just need to stick the landing.
By a hair to the wire. I'm running out of expressions, but they are playing coy. Again, they know they have the lead, so we've seen this patience from them before, where they don't want to push in, they don't want to push their luck. They know they've got Blade, but they have to know that Keo's coming up to overclock. Careful, Cloud. Don't get taken out before this starts, because this Blade is important. Oh, the shield bash was already used, so they couldn't get away from the Blade. Goes down. Cloud raining terror onto Deimpero. 15 seconds to go, and a lovely fight when they'll unlock the forward spawn, and they'll probably get even more push on it.
Nah, they consider just leaving it because a touch would be tricky, but they recognize that there's going to be a way for Deimpero to get there. Only overtime spawns though, and a dead Kiwi means this might be all over, but the crying for Deimpero.
I think it was a good choice to get the forward spawn. They probably would have touched it anyway. Doesn't mean that in this fight they have a little bit of backup, but they don't need that backup. They are cleaning it through, and by pixels, they win with a lead on Esperanza, and perhaps is this the path for them to get back, to rekindle the flame of this team and get a reverse sweep?
Should absolutely hope so, but that was by the skin of their teeth, right? Like a 5-minute brawl in the center of the point. That's essentially unheard of on a map like Esperanza, where normally you see those forward spawns unlocked with just 2 consecutive fights, but nobody was able to actually get it going. And just an absolute masterclass coming through from, it feels like, every member of Incendia. Everybody had that moment. But when all is said and done, then Deimpero's lack of ability to play against it was what really got it over the line there. This is the first time where they really looked like they were now the ones on the back foot. They were the ones playing reactively, and it was not a fantastic look for them. Cookie, Cloud, Brash all just played out of their minds. Yeah. And a couple of bold rampages like this from Crocs showed that maybe he's not totally in the lead, sorry.
Yeah, and it kind of makes you think, right, yeah, Crocs, big talker, likes to emote during fights.
Yeah, that was a choice.
Like, if they still had Crocs in that fight, perhaps this would have been a different map, given how small the margin of victory was for Incendia. So, there's a certain point where it depends how the rest of the players view this sort of bombastic personality from Crocs. You know, there's certainly a level where perhaps they could go too far, because certainly you can't be playing around now. Perhaps they've been put on notice now that actually maybe this won't be as clean as we thought it would be.
Dorado, of course, up next. We've already gone through more than a couple bans here. Deimpero, curious to see what they decide to do, as it is, of course, their map choice, having lost. They'll get first ban as well. I assume maybe like a Brig ban here. The thing is, Lucio's not all that on Dorado. Prash's flex support picks aren't fantastic. I personally would look towards a Brig if I had Deimpero. But I think also they're running out of really just strong slam dunk bans. This is kind of what happens as you get later and later into a series. And here on map number 4, right? I'm not quite sure you have that same amount of easy victories. Dorado, a map with these long sight lines, these high amounts of verticality. I think it's an interesting pick, definitely not one that I was necessarily expecting.
Yeah, I'm thinking, maybe do they look to ban Hazard here? Hazard was a pick we saw in Blizzard World. Deimpero did quite well, and obviously you can't really play the Junker Queen too well on Dorado. Do a bit more on New Dorado, but not as much so. So in terms of tank bans, I think Hazard would be a good choice here, actually.
I don't think Hazard would be bad whatsoever. For Deimpero, I don't expect them to go towards it. I think it's been much more Crocs' pick than Hybrids. But I think it's just generally a pretty strong choice. Just waiting for them to come through. Maybe a little second here. Just getting everybody back into the lobby. I think a short break was probably needed after a bit of a banger like that. Cass wanted some time to chat to his boys, and for Deimpero, I don't believe they have a coach, at least in lobby. They still needed to chill for a little bit, because that was an absolute barn burner of a last match. Hopefully Dorado continues at that pace.
Yeah, and what I'll say is from last week, I would say overall Incendia have looked like they've improved some of the issues from last week. Incendia looked a little bit lost sometimes on some of the compositions, at least that they were playing last week against Dreamlight. It certainly seems a little bit cleaner here in terms of that, but we have the hero bans through, and Incendia have banned Junker Queen. Deimpero have banned Ana.
I get it. I'm not sure this is exactly what I would have done. Again, with the Ana, I think Ana makes sense. You don't want them playing Winston. You don't want them playing like heavy dive stuff, because that's not really your point of preference. So you just ban out the Ana. They can't do it. They could do Juno Brig. They could do Lucio Kiri, but they can't do the Ana Brig. That is kind of their speciality. And for the Queen ban, I think it is kind of a speciality pick for a third point, right? Where you're just going to go on to more frontline trading kind of areas. You know for a fact that you can't take away their dive picks. You want the dive picks for yourself. So I do quite like this. I do think that it is also a gamble, though, because throughout first and second, this Queen ban is not going to help you one jot. Deimpero, defensively, Lucio, Kiri, Ashe, Tracer, they can go on hard 4-man dives off the back of Ashe headshots, Ashe dynamites. Maybe a Kiri headshot if you're especially fast to respond. Incendia, go for the spawn shot with the Hansa, but I would be surprised if we ended up playing that, but no Cookies rolling out on this pick.
Surely we see them roll back, right? I mean, I myself would love to see a player choose to play Hanzo, but yeah, just looking for those initial picks there. And the first time we've seen Monkey and Monkey together here mirrored on this series, so we'll see what Hybrid is made of. The fairly new tank compared to previously playing DPS. They have done fairly well for making that switch, to be fair, but Hybrid again getting forced out. They just have to be careful of how they introduce themselves to these fights.
Yeah, just the early poke going back and forth so far. It's going to be a lot easier, especially in these early fights. With no one-shot for Incendia, then getting onto the sideline, it's going to be tricky. Hybrid, you got to stay alive, man. And the peel will be there, but not the start that you were maybe looking for. Incendia have to figure out exactly how they want to rotate here, because just peeking the high ground's not working out for them.
Okay, you see Hybrid trying to just jump behind them, force them out. Okay, Pack avoiding the Tracer perhaps last map, embracing the Tracer this map takes Cookie out, and Cookie's had struggled there being so stationary on the Ashe, so they actually are going to swap onto a Torbjorn. Meanwhile, the aggression here from the defense actually look to take Hybrid out right in front of the spawn for a moment.
Silver lining here is that Incendia basically going to have their supportals already. Gogo's only 50% away to a sound barrier, just to show the difference in healing and damage between these two Lucios. Crash has been under siege. Gogo's just been chilling, basically.
Yeah, chilling, vibing, you could say. Crash almost get crushed by the elevator and crushed by the wave of his dive.
Wow.
The pulse bomb sent up to the heavens. Pack goes bye-bye because of it. And Crocs having a little bit of fight there with the tower. The Bob is going to keep them in the fight for now. Kitsune Rush, they are dueling there. Crisscross, applesauce on the point. And it's messy. This is really messy. In fact, there's a Primal Rage that can be used by Crocs if they want to keep it alive, and of course they do. Cookie goes down, and this Deimpero team are not a team that wants to give up a fight. They just want to keep rolling. They are always trying to get the win no matter how many they are down.
That's an incredibly sticky team, sometimes at their detriment. So far, not the case, however. Incendia will finally be able to force a bit of a back by the looks of things, get some free push. But it feels like Crocs is just living too long, considering he's playing into a Torb comp. Beat for Gogo only catches 2, and Prash, the same cannot be said.
Yeah, okay, Prash gets a sound buyer. Cloud uses it to actually duel out Pack. That alleviates a lot of the pressure onto the back line, means Hybrid can go a little bit harder here onto Kyo, who annoyingly will get the health pack, stay alive a little bit. TP out there from Kiwi, just trying to stay alive, but you see Cloud trying to just force the issue, right? If they can get elimination like that, then it's more likely that they'll actually secure this point.
Yeah, and it is looking pretty likely right now. No Kiwi makes this recontest essentially impossible. Incendia bought themselves a breath of fresh air because that first one defense was just absolutely suffocating. A pulse from Cloud could be even more Kiwi under scrutiny again, Q said already.
Yeah, Kyo going down, that's huge, that's pressure gone, and Pulse Bomb just to secure it because they know that Crocs won't give up, so I appreciate going for the Pulse Bomb. And it was looking a bit dodgy, a little scary there, but they do secure first point.
They get there in the end. Now they've got the Kitsu to force up high ground. They're ahead in pretty much every check that matters, in fact. And Kiwi, I was going to say, maybe could go down there, but it would have been a truly disgusting one clip from Cloud that unfortunately doesn't materialize. I will say, not instantly moving your Torb towards the staircase does mean that you are going to struggle taking high ground somewhat, but they're just going to force it with the Kitsune Rush.
Yeah, force it, just keep control of the high ground. You see Hybrid behind them. They are kind of staying steadfast, so saying, yeah, you Kitsune rushed onto us, but we're here, and what are you going to do about it? The answer, pretty much not much. They can't really push into that. Hybrid's going to jump up, does have the Primal Rage. If they want to go further, they are going to use it, and try and just take down Kyo. Good Suzu and Peel there from the backline. Hybrid, oh no! Tried to go for the health pack instead of their backline, and they felt the pain right at the finish line, and Deimpero continued to hold. A
little bit of deja vu there almost from Incendia. If you think all the way back to that last map of Esperanza, I mean, there was one time where Cloud pulls the blade, slashes like once, and then just backs off instantly, right? It's kind of the same situation with this Kitsune Rush, where sometimes it seems like people are all seeing for their teams are ready, and then instead of their team going, you know, a little bit earlier than they want, we just cancel it entirely, just burn the ultimate. I'm not sure that's a great decision. We'll have to hope for Incendia's sake that it was the correct call.
Yeah, it is a little clumsy, you could say, yeah, but it doesn't mean that, like, it is inherently a bad decision. It just means that, you know, they're kind of putting themselves at a disadvantage by that choice. Speaking of disadvantage, Bob comes in, and is it an awkward position? Is it going to get too much done, and they're just going to choose to back up momentarily and just wait for their moment? But Crocs doesn't like waiting, just likes to push the issue, and will go super low. Almost had to pop Primal there to stay alive. Gookie just about staying alive. Great support there. The Pulse Bomb almost takes them down, but Kyo and Crocs go down, and their over-aggression finally getting a little bit punished there.
Yeah, I mean, if that's how they're going to get consistent distance, just waiting for the Deimpero to overextend and punishing, it's working out pretty well for them, realistically. It does take them a little bit longer than they'd like, so Time Bank is consistently at lower than you'd like to see. See if the UFO tech on the ball works out, but Hybrid's maybe forced to run out a little bit earlier than he wanted to.
Yeah, Hybrid got caught up in a lot of CC last week. Lucio booking them around and making them struggle to get what they want, but the mines here are going to get onto the high ground. You don't see too much worry, not too much sweat from Kyo. Well, they will now because they're sweating their way back to spawn as Crocs finds them. The Primal use, I think Crocs, I mean, I want to give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they're looking to swap, but again, by a tooth and a hair, they just about get this point. They are playing very close to the wire here, or Incendia.
But they're still staying on the right side of it. Remember, this is where I said that Queen Band now would be effective. This Winston isn't all that on the third point here. The ball will be able to get in a little bit easier. If Hybrid wants to go towards the ram, they'll be able to brawl a lot harder. So Croc's on a bit of a weird halfway house that he can't now swap off of.
And you can see Hybrid knows their positions with their grapples, knows some fun placements there on this map specifically. but you see them getting booped around, getting a little bit caught out, but it is at
Oh.
least causing some issue onto the backline because Goku gets caught out a little bit too incensed with the Wrecking Ball and will get hit by a flying molten bolt. High Noon here from Kyo, trading some space. The Pulse Bomb not quite there. Kitsune Rush as well. They've spent a lot of chips into this fight to push them back. Incendia are going to take a bit of a beat.
Yeah, a decent amount spent by both sides. At the end of the day, Deimpero's gamble does come up in their favor. Goku, gotta stay alive here, man. In a bit of an awkward spot, but we get Cloud down, so it's kind of A-okay. Why are we back in spawn here, Crocs? This is bold. And it isn't going to work out too much in his favor, but it's just going to keep Incendia on their toes here. They're getting closer towards this Primal, closer towards this Molten Core, but these are all tools that they're going to desperately need as Incendia have everything bar this Blossom.
It's 5 seconds on the board and Hybrid goes down. It's a disaster time to have your tank lose their health pool because it's overtime on the point and they are now spending everything they have. Kitsune Rush, beat, Molten Core, everything, and it will get them on the point and pushing, but how much will this help them secure the actual point?
I mean, it's going to help them at least get further distance, which is all you really need right now. Would love to see Cloud push up a little bit further. Remember, he's got that Shadow Step, that Wraith Walk to leave these advanced positions should he need to. And with Hybrid back now, this is Incendia's best chance. The Imperos also for the recontest will be brutal.
Sound barrier for the defense there, keeps the tank alive, but Croc's taking so much damage, needs to use the Primal Rage. Says, Cookie, don't want you in this fight, takes them out of it, the rest of the team gets cleaned up with the arsenal of ultimates available to Deimpero, and to be fair, compared to how this map started, that is a good finish line.
Yeah, absolutely, it's a good finish line anyway, right? It's just before the end of the map. Dorado, not a notoriously hard map to finish, but it's definitely up there, right? I think they are... Firstly, that pulse is disgusting from Cloud. I think we got a chance to really focus on that in the moment, but sticking the enemy tracer while going up an elevator, that's not something you see every day. Incendia just playing to punish their opponent's mistakes. They are able to find most of them. But that being said, this won't really work out on the defense, right? This is a style that only works while you're attacking, when you only need a certain amount of fights to get through to the end. When you're defending, you basically need to win every single fight. And that might not work with at least how Incendia are approaching right now. So they've put themselves in a good spot to reach map number 5 here, Gio, but by no means are they out of the woods just yet.
No, not out of the woods. Especially if you think about how a lot of it was, you know, them waiting for Deimpero to make the first move. You do that on defense and suddenly you're just constantly on the back foot. They need to really revisit that, and that's going to be the key factor in them trying to take something here on Dorado. In fact, they're going to stick with the Wrecking Ball as well. They got some push with it, but they're going to do it on defense as well. I don't see that often.
I don't mind the ball here. I think it's generally a strong pick, but I think that it's just incredibly tricky to execute on. Well, I have to wait and see if Incendia have something in mind particularly. Deimpero just seems to play an anti-dive comp to make Hybrid's life as hard as possible.
Yeah, and Hybrid, welcome to being a tank. This is just the reality. With all these choices, the Torbjorn will survive it, the turret will annoy you, and of course, that nade from Cassidy is going to mess you up. And you see Hybrid just trying to run a lot of damage here on the front line, and again gets booped, gets caught up, gets dove, and just about stays alive, and it's close, right? You can see that, like, that's not the plan. They don't want to be that low in health, but they are just trying to stick with it.
Yeah, all you can really do. Early pressure onto both Crocs and Prash, but it seems like Prash is the one who gets the best of it. Hybrid's able, with the cord cannons, to eliminate the enemy Winston, and so far, we're seeing the Wrecking Ball value. Like I said, though, for me, the worry isn't Incendia being able to secure fights in general. It's the fact that they are more likely to make mistakes. Hybrid was caught out more often than I would like on that ball in that other round, but Crocs is back onto his patented Orisa, probably the hero who's most associated with this player.
Well, this is just like, oh, great. My name is Hybrid. I may as well be called Cheese, fighting a cheese grater. But still, Cookie is the one finding eliminations. Even on Torbjorn, never mind being on Sojourn, they're the ones that's being a consistent superstar on this team.
And Gogo's going to get staggered somewhat as well. They've got to wait for their Lucio. They've got to wait for Crocs to come back on the horse. Because there are only 3 members right now. Walk out at all. Listen, if Hybrid had any more HP, he'd be going for an early hit, and seems to anyway. And Pack is just exploded, evaporated.
Even into this composition, they may as well be playing butter into a 1000-degree knife, but they're still finding value from it, and that's what you want to be seeing from your tank overall, but especially when you need to be doing a reverse sweep. Hybrid, again, going to take a bit of brunt of damage. It's going to take a bit of a breather now, though.
Yeah, just give him a little bit of free push. Make these dives as simple as possible for Incendia. But now they got all 5 check marks, so it's just figuring out how to win these somewhat economically.
Minded at the back line, going to split up the attacking team, cause a bit of an issue in the front line. This Crocs' health goes a little bit low, forces the sound barrier, but met with Kitsune Rush and a Molten Core. 2 ultimate step, push back and create space. Perhaps that could have been layered a little bit better there, as you see Deimpero just back up and then come back into it with their own Kitsune Rush, with their own sound barrier. Well, actually, no, sorry, Incendia now with their sound barrier to match to try and stay alive against it. Cookie looking for the elimination, staying on this high ground. It's a little bit of a risky choice, but Cloud falls up onto Kyo. That's the elimination you need to be seeing here, because it means you can push forward here with a little bit less pressure, and they're looking to stop the push. It's below 1 minute right now. Pulse Bomb threatening to be used, forces the Torbjorn into a position where they can get whipped around and get taken out.
Yeah, will be eliminated as well with Kiwi going down. It seems like another stop has been found. Incendia going for that map flip was just diabolical work there. Deimpero had no idea how to counteract that, and because of that, we're now at 30 seconds left to go. Incendia just 1 fight away from completing this full hold, but they do have to compete with a Kyo overclock.
Kyo overclock, if they can survive this pressure, and they do, they get through the flames of it. Hybrid needs to back up. Make a decision now. There we go. Pushing in. But that is so damage. Crocs as well with the Terror Surge. It's just going to finish it off. And miracles aside, they will secure this first point. Again, both these teams, they're just getting it in these overtime fights.
Yeah, both these teams are turning in their assignments in the last minute by the looks of things. OT caps for both of them. I will say pushing with this Arita Torb Sword is going to be relatively simple. As long as one of your supports the only push, then you're basically impossible to shift off this high ground, right? So for Incendia, the game plan is likely just going to be going for whoever's pushing.
2 minutes on the board, and they're being patient with it. Just taking their time to kind of like gauge the battlefield. They don't want to take the brunt of the damage that will be supplied by both Kyo and Crocs and back on that front line. And you see Hybrid taking a bit more of a slide and go, hit and run. Don't get into the weeds of it as they're just rolling around. Pile drive there. I think that was maybe aiming for the high ground, didn't get what they wanted. But again, how much space are we giving them here? Kitsune rushes Incendia's decision to be like, okay, that's enough space, Buckaroo, back up there. That's your free tower causing a little bit of issues. They're all focusing to get it down. Pile drive onto Kyo right as the sound barrier comes up, so they stay alive. The mines now to try and counter, but you can't roll through that. That big shiny glowy stuff, that hurts Hybrid. Get out of it. And this patience has not really paid off too much as Deimpero continued to push from this last corner.
Time relatively low, of course. Coming into this next corner is going to be tricky. Right, Kyo can set up on a high ground with the overclock. Kiwi's got the Kitsune Rush for the car. This is probably the hardest fight that Incendia had to go for yet.
Hybrid, so much damage. A lot of overhealth there from the E, though. Kitsune Rush is going to be so difficult to push into, but just turning it into the washing machine. And Crocs gets cleaned out of the fight. It is clean. Kyo trying to turn it around. Hello? Kyo just getting all the eliminations that they need to turn it around. In fact, they actually will have done it. Hybrid is not on enough health to keep this litigated. But it turns out they actually are Lawyer of the Year. Hello, Saul Goodman, keeping their client alive in the courtroom. Forces them back 10 seconds. 10 seconds. Big.
I mean, it's borderline impossible. A touch will come through. They'll have no scaling whatsoever, no ultimates. If Crocs finishes up this Terror Surge, it could be it for Incendia, but Cloud's dead first!
That's exactly what you needed. Kiwi turning into a superstar right now. Kiwi finding all the eliminations. Prash, the pride of India, sent back to spawn. Kiwi, the one Brit on a French team, proving why they are there. That was much needed, and they stepped up to the mark.
What a shot that came through there. What an opening kill. After Crocs died first, I thought that was it. That was curtains. But now we're here. 1 minute left to go. Either Incendia go up 2-0 if they win this fight, or Deimpero closes game out 3-2-1 if they don't. Terror Surge active beat as well could be popped, and Hybrid again just slammed out of one of these engages.
Yeah, slam, push, bullied, packed up and put into the locker, but Hybrid is staying brunt, is brunting that damage, is brunting it, staying confident in the face of a sound barrier from Deimpero, pushes them forward, Prash going down, that's tough, that's speed gone. Kiwi gone though, is a big pick gone, it's a lot of healing.
Oh my god!
Oh no, Pack! A disaster! It's a trade to be fair, but they go down. It has opened up an opportunity for Cloud and Cookie to do what they do best, and that is to rain terror. Crocs dying there was essentially a necessity there. You allow that player to live and Deimpero have a strong recontest. You don't, 10 seconds left to go, and even though he swaps over to the ball, there will barely be a touch. You've got a Cookie OC. Crash can probably finish off a beat if this fight goes long. Incendia have almost got this, they just need to finish. Forced onto the Wrecking Ball, but Cookie setting it up to the mark with an overclock. They are playing it coy. Deimpero do not want to peek, but it's Cloud again on the Tracer in the back. They don't have the Wrecking Ball anymore. Pile driver right onto the head of Kiwi, and they have done it. They've brunted it. They've pushed through Dorado, and it was tough. It was a harsh fight. That was like walking through big, thick mud. But they've brought this series to 2-2 now, Spec. They are on the verge of the reverse sweep, and this is the team that we knew they could be. They've warmed up.
Dude, that map was like trench warfare there. So achingly slow. Every single victory felt like it needed 1,000 sacrifices. And even with heroics like that, Kyo just going absolutely bonkers as a rifleman, it just was not enough. I mean, what a ridiculous map, an absolute barn burner in between Incendia and Deimpero. Listen, no matter which way this result goes, whether Incendia are able to take the win, or if Deimpero will get what they feel is rightfully theirs, it shows that this Incendia, with Captain Prash, a team who's here to compete, who can compete with the best of them in Masters Division, and above everything else, have a mental that's just unbreakable. Remember, they were down 0-2, and they've just been playing out of their mind to drag it back.
And they've done it. Strength and determination. They're really... You get to see the character of teams in these moments, and we're starting to really see the character of Incendia. Yes, they've brought on the pride of India, Captain Prash. Perhaps that was it, the one missing piece for Incendia to unlock their final form. And I'm really impressed with Hybrid as well. They were playing into a composition that was pretty much designed to make their life really difficult in every way, but they still found value with pile drives a lot of the time. And yeah, they were taking a lot of damage, but their movement was there enough. So I did like that Hybrid was able to find that. Oh no, did we have to show it again? Poor Pack.
Oh, Lord of mercy. Lijiang Tower going to be the final map again. The choice of Deimpero. They're going to have first ban as well. But considering we're now on to our 5th ban, surely you're out of good options here. I mean, we'll wait and see exactly how these teams elect to approach it. You throw your minds all the way back to Samoa. And that was not much there for Incendia. Remember, when we're looking at a map like Lijiang Tower Control Center, it's going to be incredibly brawly. Other than that, you can play basically whatever you want. Bans are through. Take a gander at them now. Whew.
Oh
okay.
My God.
The ban for Deimpero is going to be the Brigitte. Finally investing it, making sure that there's absolutely no chance that Incendia play the Winston Anna Brig that they were so afraid of, even though they won over it on Samoa. And for Incendia, the Sim ban comes through. They know that there's a real chance that they're going to see a TP onto the point, and just ruin the front line here. They want to avoid that as much as possible, so they go on to this sim. So again, removing the front line damage, removing the TP is the main reasons why this ban came through.
And this brick ban has been on the cards all series. At any point, this brick ban could come out, and it being in the final map, which this will be the final map, you cannot draw this game mode. So someone is going to win this. Can Incendia prove that they have rekindled the flame that they lost last week and get this reverse sweep? Or will Deimpero yet again be a dampener on their parade? It all comes down to this. It all comes down to Li Zhang Tower, and we will be starting on Night Market.
Indeed, we shall. Again, one of the more open maps in terms of what you can play. Remember, Symmetra is now out, so Brawl Comp's going to be a smidge weaker. A lot of teams like to go for the window TP with a Reinhardt, just set up your turrets, then play back point, force your opponents to walk into the turrets, walk into the crossfire, and then take the Brawl after they finish depleting all those resources. Incendia want to simply negate that. So far, hovering on this Malga composition, playing into the Queen. So the tank's going to be the only difference. Incendia always win first cycle here. If they land the stomp onto Crocs, they probably just win. But if they miss the stomp, if Crocs is able to survive, if there's cleanse and a shout and peel, then Deimpero are almost always going to win this extended fight because of those Queen bleeds, because she takes a smidge less resources than the Malga. So Incendia need these fights to go as fast as possible. Deimpero looking to bleed them out.
Deimpero looking to find the wound that will begin the bleeding. Incendia, though, going around coast side, just looking to stage onto point, basically force the issue. For once this point unlocks, you'll see them push in. Actually, reverse that. It's actually Crocs who's going to push in, forces Hybrid to use their charge defensively, which means they don't have it momentarily. They're just walking through this choke into a lot of pain, into that Disruptor Orb as well. And Cloud finding Go-Go means that no more speed. A Hybrid's gone down though, and that pretty much means that Incendia have fallen apart here. Deimpero have noted them perfectly.
They tried to go point side first, did Incendia to try and maximize what poke they could find, and so they didn't really have to scale into the Queen comp, fearing that Malga would maybe lose their armor. But instead, then they end up making that fight take too long, and Deimpero are able to get their fangs in first, the mirror out onto their Queen. So exactly the same comps on both sides of the equation here. The only thing that matters now is mastery.
Well, can they master it? Can they master this map? You see them starting out with a large punch into it with power, but Hybrid, you know, is working backwards here. Crocs have been so good on the Junker Queen in this series. Hybrid has a lot to live up to. As they rotate round here, they're just trying to find that opening, right? They're just trying to poke and prod. And there is it! Cloud taking down Pack, a very strong Genji in their own right. Cloud proving that they can come to hustle just as much. Cloud actually takes Crocs down in the crisscross of the Kitsune rushes here. They have been lossless in this fight, and they've hit back strong.
There we go, 60% or change accrued by Deimpero, but Incendia are able to hold on to things as it stands. Both teams simply mirror out the Kitsune rush, but at the end of the day, not having Pack is too great a weakness to overcome. Wide swing with OC, this is early.
Very early, so is the sound barrier, but it does mean that Cookie has so much space to play with, and play with it they have. Crocs keeled down. Swap the point momentarily. That's a bit of a annoying nuisance, right? 3v3, there could even be a retouch onto the point here, but they decide not to. Incendia, I kind of wish they had that percentage.
They do, but it's not the end of the world. 7% or so they can kind of go without. The real question here is, how does Cloud use this blade?
Well, right on to Go-Go, who has sped away. That Lucio parkour working in their favour. And, Pack goes down, Kyo as well. So no DPS on the side of Deimpero, so there's no pressure. You're hoping that Kiwi can do more Kiwi things.
Hybrid.
But Hybrid has actually stepped up to the plate. I talked about how they were kind of behind on it, but they are doing very well on this Junker Queen.
That's ridiculous that Incendia were on the back foot for basically that entire fight. Especially after, I think, Crash goes down to the deflect. But somehow they're able to just cling on to life. They're able to clutch things out. The bleeds are allowing Hybrid to stay active. And now they probably want to use this Rampage to go first.
Rampage as well as the Blade. Going to the back line, finds Cronus, so it is worth it. It is going to be a big Queen O forcing the sound barrier, forcing the issue of Deimpero. But they have control of the point, they forced them back 67% to 78, and you see Hybrid just going for the reset there.
Okay, 80%. Last fight territory, more or less. Hybrid going down, not what you need. Cookie has to tuck his tail between his legs and run. Pack can't really threaten kills here. All he can really do is poke for ult charge. The Deimpero probably want to fight in the choke with that Kitsune rush. Incendia have to avoid this at all costs. If they get to point, they'll have enough time to finish off their overclock, to finish off that Kitsune rush of their own, and actually take the fight to their opposition.
And if Cookie can get it, we know what that's like. It's like wine in the hands of a Frenchman, but it's the French of the Deimpero who are looking to continue to power through. Cookie, without the overclock, takes down Pack, now has the overclock, forcing the rest of the team back, and they are going to get the percentage off of it. But that patience from the Deimpero, that's going to be rewarded. Yeah, Kiwi still has Kitsune Rush as well. Now you're thinking, can Cloud get Blade in time? That's the issue with 10% remaining. This is the final fight of this sub-map, but the Kitsune Rush is going to really force Incendia into a tough position as they have to back up momentarily. If Kyo goes down here, it's massive, and they do. No overclock. However, with Hybrid gone, it's really on Cloud to stay alive and get the Blade. The sound barrier with the Blade. Now that's the combination they need. Can they find the eliminations? Kiwi goes down. Can Cloud do it? Can Cloud clutch it up for their team? Is Kiwi enough? Is that pick enough? They know that Lucio's low, but you can see Gogo just doing so much on the outside to stay alive. Meanwhile, Kyo is back, and that is a disaster for Incendia. It's a disaster for anyone in the front of this player when this overclock is rolling, because Kyo is decimating.
It's so damn close. There was a chance there, a real chance, if Cloud just went for the dash onto Gogo rather than onto Pack. Then that's probably a dead Lucio. It's probably enough advantage for Incendia to be able to close out Night Market, but when all is said and done, when the pedal hits the metal, it's the Deimpero who's able to finally take the lead. They probably did play a lot better, to be honest there. Great opening kill from Cookie, but the OC found little. The Kitsu found little. It allowed Deimpero to walk back in with their own rush and find those results. And here, second point could be the last one that Incendia play, at least here today, appears to be Gardens. No Bull, no Winston, no Farah. They're going for any strange pocket picks, just trying to win this mirror. They know how damn close they are on this comp. They just need to get it over the line.
Get over the line. They're right there. They will not want to go down here. They have no second chances. Hybrid, though, has a chance to go down. Cookie finding Croc, so no tanks here. We're now playing Overwatch 3, and now it's about the team's positioning. But you see Deimpero have positioned himself nicely in this room, splitting up the team of Incendia, causing issue for Cloud, who needs to use their dash to just get out. Meanwhile, the point going to go for Deimpero in the meantime.
Kyo, an unwelcome surprise, he slides into 3, but will at least be able to back up for now. Incendia are down in space, but Kyo is almost a dead man walking, goes down to 20 HP, but will be able to survive.
Yeah, just by sliver of health they stay alive. Those cartages swinging into each other, but it's Cookie finding their counterpart of Kyo with a headshot there. That's what we need to be seeing from the DPS lineup. Incendia now have the point. They can take it, but this relaxation from Deimpero, they are so patient.
Yeah, but maybe even to a fault. They're giving enough time for Incendia to charge up into their own ult cycles, and if that happens, they'll be well and truly behind here. They need to go, and now.
Yeah, Kitsune Rush is going to open up. Cronus just gets theirs online. Can they keep Hybrid alive? No, the answer is no, but Cookie finds Gogo. Cronus goes down to Kiwi. Is there any chance to get this one back? It looks like the answer will be no. They get the point, and Kitsune Rush is both used.
Indeed. But in the end, the flip found back the other way. It's an expensive one, relatively speaking. Like I mentioned, Incendia's own ult cycles are here. Both teams just down their Kitsu means that they have essentially the same tools here. The only difference being that the Hybrid's behind in Rampage, and Kyo's so far behind in Overclock.
Boss music playing. Oh, but the game got paused. Crocs has just taken Cookie out. You see Pack in the backline there with Blade, and what was and what is a winning ultimate, the Overclock, gets sent away and packed up back to spawn.
And it is 60% now. The Incendia running out of time. Their kill on to Pack, and now Kiwi allows them more than a stabilization. It allows them an opening.
Yeah, a little bit too aggressive. We've seen this multiple times where the aggression gets countered out and Gogo finds himself completely alone and isolated in the backline. Again, going for a little bit of a Lucio 1v1 with Prash. We saw it on Blizzard World. Pack going down, now secure the point for Incendia.
Yeah, able to get the flip. Just over one fight territory, Gogo goes down. All it takes is a cancel now. Incendia have bought themselves time, necessary time, to re-establish properly, to come up with a proper setup, a proper ult track, a proper fight plan. All they got to do, though, is wait for Gogo, and then Deimpero will be right back in with a chance, and like magic, Felucio's back.
The chips are down, they're all in, they have no other chances, they have to fight hard. The Blade going into Keo takes down Pack as well. Soundfire from Prash kept them alive during it. And that means they will secure it. We are in dangerous territory.
Heading to a final fight here. Heading to a final collision between these two teams, maybe. Just 2 Kitsune rushes online for Incendia and Deimpero both. Neither team's going for aggressive poke on that bridge. Nobody wants to take a risk at this stage in the match. Cookie's been good for it so far, but side up aggressively. Keo wants to be good for it now.
Oh, tries to catch Keo out. Keo backs up, but gets whipped by Prash! The new start, the new player in the team, whips Keo off the map. A massive opener. It's now 90% on the board for Incendia. Deimpero need to walk into this down a player right now, hoping and praying that Keo can get back in time. Kitsune Rush needs to be used. Kronos, to be fair, does not have theirs anymore. Cookie, though, overclock. It's the boss music again. A Prash again! The Lucio again finding a boop. Onto Pack. Keo goes down, and Incendia from behind, from the corner. They're back against the wall. They fight back.
Stop.
They take us to the wire. It's 2-2 in the series, and 1-1 in the map of Lijiang. It is all down to this next sub map.
Incendia doing absolutely everything they can just to cling on. This team is impossibly hard to put down by the looks of things. I mean, every single player is going absolutely blow for blow, playing out of their minds. All is said and done here, a lead of, what, 15% is what separates Deimpero from Incendia, and what allows Incendia to take us to a control center. I don't expect either team probably to spot off the Queen at this point in proceedings, but Incendia have taken the risk. Cronus is on the Juno, Highwood is on the Orisa. They're finally changing up the equation here. Do Deimpero expect this? Will it work out for Incendia? We'll have to see in this final opening fight.
It's a big risk, especially if you're talking about now there's so much to work with in terms of perks. But Hybrid seem to be confident that Orisa's the call. Of course, Crocs has historically been the better Junker Queen, but to be fair, Hybrid's done well. Big javelin there, just about misses. Crocs just sneaking into the backline, but Gogo is sent home. Cookie, again, the superstar, the one always finding these opening picks, is the one to open it up in the favor of. Now Hybrid can be a little bit more aggressive. Watch the HP. They are dancing with death and they've lost the tango. Hybrid goes down. Incendia are still trying to fight for this one because they can. Keo, just
lovely.
about goes down. Cloud just finds it, but there's safety in the arms of an Angel. The Angel is deaf, and it's Crocs who takes them out, and Deimpero will start it out with control on the point.
Fantastic opening there from Incendia, out-rotating Deimpero, but unfortunately, they go a little bit too deep, trying to clean things up. Hybrid goes down, trusting the gold to keep him active, and maybe it couldn't. They've got a Kitsune Rush already, does Cronus. Just gonna rip it to take the brawl.
Keo finding Cookie, that's a big detriment. A very strong pick from Keo. The Kitsune Rush, though, trying to keep them alive, but they can't find an elimination with it, and that's a detriment as well. Now they're fighting from under. Kitsune Rush used from Kiwi. Incendia backing up for the moment, but Kronos, time catches up to us all, and so does Keo with an overclock. ready.
Yeah, great rail there found, and these staggers maybe as well. Hybrid's going to do his best to stay alive here, because Incendia right now just trying to escape the blade to make it so that's an impossibility.
The blade doesn't find much, but is very much the bouncer at the club, forces them back momentarily.
Yeah, a small pause, a small rest by being found. Incendia given a gift in terms of their ult economy, but they need to actually capitalize on it.
Capitalize on it, they will. Beat from both sides. Keo struggling to go for this extra health with their overclock. Cloud slashing through now. It's Cloud who's stepping up. Raining terror, raining hailstones on them. Cloud stepped up to the mark and then some. And oh my god, is it not the exact percentage that was on Gardens?
Yeah, that it is. Deimpero before weren't able to get past this. This is where they were stopped. See if it's an unlucky number for them as Incendia expend everything, but are able to find the flip. Both teams looking to mirror out this Kitsu first. This Cloud Flank is brutal. Kiwi has no idea.
They have no idea, forces Suzu, but Kiwi hits back. The clapback's bigger than the initial attack. Now they're behind. Kitsune Rush coming up. You can't really let it slip away from you with Ash gone though. It was a risk and they did not get the biscuit. They got sent away. Oh no. Oh god, if Hybrid goes down here, it's over. Kitsune Rush is a perfectly placed choice. 10% on control right now. They need to go. It's their last chance. But how much do they have in the tank? Cookie's close to overclock. Could pull it up, but god forbid the pack gets its blade. Yes, the touch is just there. Hybrid taking so much damage. Cookie is just about there, struggling to load up to that overclock. You see Cloud just desperately trying to stay alive, but it's Kronos that goes down. You don't have sustain now. It's all or nothing. You need to get these eliminations, but it's from Keo and his pack. Keo is just turning it into a shooting gallery, and Deimpero at the very last point. They quell the flames, they stop themselves from being reverse sweep, and they get a hold of the series. Deimpero did not think that was going to go as close as it did, but they had to fight for it.
I mean, it was such a slow start from Incendia, but once they got deeper in, once they started making these fixes, they showed that they were able to compete with the absolute best of what Faceit Masters has to offer. Unfortunately, that same slow start, though, came back to bite them in the end. It meant that they had to play from a position that was borderline impossible to win from, and today it was, unfortunately, an impossibility. Deimpero end up closing out that series 3-2. But honestly, if you are Incendia, this is your first game with your new player, and you go this close, you go into a very winnable matchup against the absolute best of Faceit Master Division.
Yeah.
You gotta say, that's not so bad. It sucks, but once you've been given some time to sleep it off and think about it objectively, you have to realize that ultimately this game is, on the whole, a good thing, right? No longer a team in freefall like they kind of were over those last couple of games. Incendia are back on the map, I think we've got to say. And now all it is to see in the rest of their matches exactly how far they'll go.
Man, considering how much they had to take in, right? You know, off the back of 2 losses, off the back of a new player on the roster, they were fighting back against a lot. But you're right, this has a silver lining to it. Yes, it's a loss, but in the standings, you got 2 maps, so you didn't get swept. That's a good thing. Also, just physically watching it, like the fight in the team, you can see how much they want it, and that's important. That mentality of the team, and it's only going to get better as well as the team gets more comfortable with the new player Crash on the team. It'll only get better from here, and I'm excited to see what the future of Incendia holds. But yeah, today it is Deimpero who continue to look strong here in the Masters Division.
Yeah, and a strong win from them as well. Deimpero are always a team who we've known for a fact can be tested and can hold up to it. You know, I was kind of wondering whether they get some of those maybe bad memories from their matchup against Peps, where they were reverse swept, remember, to qualify. That's the kind of loss that can sometimes get some almost PTSD going in these players. But they were able to use it as motivation by the looks of things rather than run from it. They went towards it, and because of that were able to then overcome. I mean, they've always been a team who've been getting stronger and stronger, and mental titans to hold on there. I think a lot of weaker teams would probably crumble in a spot like this. But I mean, you look
Yeah.
at the scores. I mean, 3-2 on Dorado, 1-2 there on Lijiang, every single point going 80 points plus. That was just ridiculously close.
Yeah, and Deimpero have style, right? And Crocs has his own way of kind of emoting in fights and trash talking. But you saw that there was a moment of, oh, I gotta lock in. Actually, I gotta make sure we don't lose this. That in itself is also a victory for Incendia to get Crocs to lock in enough that there's no flame in the chat. But this week is not the end. This is the end of this week's broadcasts of Incendia games, because Incendia will have a game a couple days. That's Thursday against 0907. Gives them a couple more days to get used to this new roster. VOD review, those small moments, those small margins where they lost out this match, where they could have won this match. Find those small little tweaks they can make and go against 0907, who are sitting around roughly the same kind of standings as Incendia. So that's a chance for Incendia to prove that while they are kind of lower in the top 8, that they have just had a bit of an unlucky streak and they can hit back hard against a team that has a roughly around the same standings. But wow, I mean, I'm out of breath, I'm exhausted, and I wasn't even playing. I mean, imagine the stamina required for these teams, these players, to basically no break between these Faceit matches either. It's just go, go, go.
Yeah. Of course, that's going to spell about the end of this broadcast. Before we go, obviously, a huge shout out and thanks to Console Gaming League and XYBA Productions, without which any of this stream would be possible. Incendia, all their games, or most of them at least, will be covered on this very same Twitch channel, so make sure you are paying attention to it for all the action. Of course, we already told you when the next games will be covered, but other than that, I think today it's been Orange who's been doing the observation, Hippie who's been on the production. Of course, thanks so much for Gio for being my wonderful play-by-play, and I think from all of us here at XIBA Productions, we wish you a fantastic night.
Good night.